A group of moose hunters discovered an old rusted bus just outside the northern boundary of Denali National Park in Alaska. On the door of the bus was a note, and it read, in all capital letters, "Attention all possible visitors. SOS, I need your help. I am injured near death and too weak to hike out of here. I am all alone. This is no joke. Please, in the name of God, please remain to save me. I'm out collecting berries and I'll return soon this evening. Thank you. Chris McCandless, August." Within the bus, the remains of a man were found. The body was decomposed, merely weighing 67 pounds. It was clear that this man had been living out in this wilderness, living off the land for several months now. Through an extensive diary found along with his possessions, the world was able to know how this man refuted the conformity of modern-day society, left his home, family, and promising future, and set off on a journey of self-discovery and knowledge. This man's name was Christopher Johnson McCandless. Chris McCandless is an inspirational figure. I will be addressing three main points throughout this speech. First, Chris McCandless followed his dreams. Second, Chris McCandless represented transcendentalism. And third, Chris McCandless was praised but also criticized. I will begin this tribute by first explaining how Chris McCandless gave up everything in order to follow his dreams. Chris McCandless followed his dreams. According to Adam Reed, an expert on and supporter of Chris McCandless, Christopher McCandless was born on February 12, 1968 in El Segundo, California. Chris was an exceptional student and a cross-country star. He had a very unique perception of life. For example, he saw running as a spiritual form of exercise, embarking on long runs through the woods. Chris was stubborn and stood by his beliefs. He rejected anything that he felt would jeopardize his individuality. In 1990, Chris graduated from Emory University, although titles such as this seemed irrelevant and immaterial to him. After graduation, he decided to follow his dreams of leaving the materialistic and conformist society he had spent his whole life opposing. Chris gave away all of his money, totaling at $24,000. He left his home in search of self-discovery and to determine what was authentic and what was not. It was then he began his epic adventures, assuming the name Alexander Supertramp. In respected author John Crocker's book, Into the Wild, published on January 16, 1996, that explored the life and death of Chris McCandless, he provides a quote by McCandless that depicts his life. "The very basic core of a man's living spirit is his passion for adventure. The joy of life comes from our encounters with new experiences, and hence there is no greater joy than to have an endlessly changing horizon, for each day to have a new and different sun." Chris McCandless had a strong desire to release himself into a peaceful solitude, and from civilization to become in touch with nature. Along the way, he kept a journal of his physical and spiritual progress. McCandless fulfilled his lifelong dream of an Alaskan odyssey, and Crocker believes if it weren't just for a few fatal mistakes, he would still be alive today. Christopher McCandless fulfilled his dreams when he embarked on his journey into the wild. This is the first reason we are celebrating McCandless. It is the experiences, the great triumphant joy of living to the fullest extent in which real meaning is found. God, it is great to be alive. Chris McCandless represented transcendentalism. In a hightechhigh.org blog that relates McCandless and transcendentalism, the author states that the life of a transcendentalist is achieved by connecting one's spirit to the simple beauty of nature. McCandless did just this when he left his comfortable life and promising future to develop his own views on the world. Through his various journal entries, you can easily relate his beliefs to that of a transcendentalist. He upheld a precious reverence for nature. He shuns modern-day society and the conformist beliefs on happiness and success. Christopher McCandless freed himself from all relationships and obligations and embarked on a spiritual journey throughout America, finally making his way to the Alaskan wilderness. His travels led him to a path of self-discovery along with a deeper appreciation for nature. McCandless's ideology is similar to that of the transcendentalist movement occurring in the 1800s. He sets out on a journey to reach Alaska and to live off the land. This displays how he symbolizes transcendentalist qualities such as confidence and self-reliance. The second reason we are celebrating this individual is because Christopher McCandless represented transcendentalism. Many of McCandless's views and experiences are parallel to the beliefs of the transcendentalist movement. He believed in reverence for nature and revolting against a conformist society. Many people supported Christopher McCandless and his journey, but was also criticized for his reckless behavior and his death was considered self-inflicted. Chris McCandless was praised, but also criticized. In an article from the New Yorker, written by John Crocker, he writes about how many letters he received as a response to his book, Into the Wild. Many admired Chris for his rejection of conformity and materialism in order to determine what was authentic and what was not. He says he has also received letters from people who believe Chris is an idiot. They say he came to grief because he was arrogant, woefully unprepared, mentally unbalanced, and possibly suicidal. These people believe Crocker's book merely glorifies a senseless death. In review, Chris McCandless is criticized by some, but that does not take away from the influential things he accomplished. Nothing will take away from the story of Christopher McCandless and the challenges he faced in order to chase his dreams. I now go into the wild. These were the words written by Christopher McCandless prior to embarking on his journey. This man stood for something. He believed self-reliance is a sacred American inheritance, originating from the unquestioning faith in the sanctity of rugged individualism and unconquerable independence. Here's a quote found in Chris's journal just before entering the Alaskan wilderness. 2 years he walks the earth. No phone, no pool, no pets, no cigarettes. Ultimate freedom, an extremist. An aesthetic voyager whose home is a road, escaped from Atlanta, thou shalt not return, 'cause the West is the best. And now after 2 rambling years comes the final and greatest adventure, the climactic battle to kill the false being within, and victoriously conclude the spiritual pilgrimage. 10 days and nights of freight trains and hitchhiking bring him to the great white north. No longer to be poisoned by civilization, he flees and walks alone upon the land to become lost in the wild. Alexander Supertramp, May 1992. To review my main points, first, Christopher McCandless followed his dreams. Second, Christopher McCandless represented transcendentalism. And third, Christopher McCandless was praised but also criticized. Chris McCandless was an inspirational figure. Thank you.